let's do part 2 for the Esprit exhaust gasket. So now it's time to figure out, at least let's try with the turbo pipe here, getting a gasket for it, which it wasn't meant to have a gasket, but let's say why we need a gasket. So if you see all the red here, that is high temperature sealant that I tried to put in to seal around the fitting. And granted, this piece being stainless steel, it doesn't have any pits. It's beautiful on the other side of the connection, but this being cast has lots of pits in, and if you can see where the where all the gasket material is staying, those are the low spots. That's areas that have had corrosion. Those are the low spots, and why it doesn't seal well. So if we go around even to this side, you'll see a large section here, thick area, real thick area. Why it didn't seal. Of course, we're dealing with this flange, which everyone's afraid to put a lot of pressure on because it'll bend, it'll break, and then what are you going to do? So I need a gasket. Since the gasket you put into the paste gasket that you try to put around doesn't work, let's try to figure out some kind of sheet gasket and how I can make it work. Okay, so over at the bench, picking back up here, if we're going to make a paper gasket of some kind, have to figure out what size it's going to be. So, granted, I found what the center would be. Then I tried this. Let's make it out of cardboard. Cardboard's flexible. It'll go in there. You can anchor everything down, see how well it fits, and make a couple of tries with cardboard. If it works, then you know what to do with the real stuff. So, okay, that too small. All right, let's go with something a little wider. Nope, that didn't work either. That's a little too wide. So, and we came down to this piece. I made a couple of notches just because that's where the threads are on the posts, figuring it might help it center in there. Turns out, don't need it. If I keep it straight across, it'll fit perfectly right at the edges of the threads. You'll notice the line that's here, that is what was sticking outside of the connection. As I checked all the way around, it was even, so I think I have the correct stuff. Alright, so what are you going to use? I have been researching gasket material for a while, trying to find something that is of high enough temperature, but will also work at a low temperature when it's off, because if you get something really high temperature, it's too brittle at low. So, found a company. I'll try to put a link in. Ramplex exhaust gaskets. Permanent solution to exhaust leaks. Check them out. Their material is thick. It compresses nicely, and it'll hold to 3,000 degrees. So that's not bad. So I bought a sheet of it. This is what a piece of it looks like if you're an all-fall cut of mine. Pretty good. This will pretty much say the sheet, what's left of the sheet I had before. Alright. So let's clear off some of this other stuff here. That's the gasket for down at the wastegate adapter. Metal, that's what's not sealing. Okay. So, why not make it out of that material? And yes, it's a little wider on one side because I'll be able to hold it out there in place also if I need to, getting it in, and I can always trim it off once it's in there. That's not a problem. But that, and looks like it's the right size. Then I made another one up for the other side if I need it, the other top end of the adapter. Stuff cuts pretty easily. It's not bad, and they do show that it compresses a lot as a material, and they even give you a sample to try out before cutting into the whole sheet. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to make up a gasket, put it in there. I got to clean up the old area first, and then see how this works. That's where I'm at the moment. Okay, so the gasket is cut. And if anyone's wondering, these are designed to crush to 50%, so they can seal gaps. What do you say, 1/16 of an inch up to? But considering they're meant to crush halfway down, that's a nice amount for sealing. Okay, cleaned up the car. Going to put them on, and we'll go from there. Okay, so gasket is in there, and it's equal around all. So basically, I'll start tightening it down and see how it goes. Okay, the gasket is in. All of the nuts are tightened up. Some of the gasket did ooze out, but that's to be expected since it compresses up to 50%. And it is kind of a cone shape, so yeah, everything looks pretty good. I will try the smoke generator. We'll see how that goes. Make sure everything's sealed, nothing coming out, and we'll go from there. And anybody who might be asking, well, wait a minute, this shouldn't be used on something like pressure and these up there at the turbo. Well, if you look at the company, these gaskets are actually made for being up at the turbo. So I figure if these are made for turbos connections, definitely is a good place to put this one. All right. Granted, long term is always the best test to see how well it does. So the first thing is to get it to seal and get it to stay sealed. And we'll get back to that one. All right, thanks. Okay, smoke test. You might see if we can point to it. I'm missing my pencil. Okay. So let's see. Right up in there, you'll see some whiffs of smoke come out. If I can manage to hold this thing steady. That's the gasket leaking there. And if we look up here, if you can even see it. I can. Here's the camera picking it up. Okay, so, but we have nothing around any of the joints. Nothing else.